from Mtn Quilting, and today we're going to make a scrappy pumpkin quilt using the pumpkin quilt paper by Holt along with her layer cake Autumn. Today we're going to have a special guest that's going to show us how to do this quilt, and that is Heather.
Good morning. Okay, first we're going to talk about our supplies that we need to create the scrappy pumpkin quilt. First we need our pumpkin quilt papers by Holt. We just need one. I used one pack. I also only used one pack of the Autumn 10-inch squares. The quilt pattern requires or calls for 2 of each. I used one and just cut additional yardage. All right, now that we have our supplies together, we need to pick 3 contrasting fabrics. One A, B, and a C fabric. After we pick our 3 fabrics, we're going to then iron on our pumpkin to the top. Once we have our paper ironed onto our top fabric, we're going to cut on the lines. I start where it says cut here first. You'll notice I only ironed the paper to the top one. The pattern calls for you to iron on every single one. I did it in stacks of 3 to save on paper. Next, after we cut, I pull what's the background fabric, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I pull those off to the side and I leave them alone. Next, we want to shuffle our stem and the body of the pumpkin to give us the scrappy look. I do this by taking, on my 2-piece or the stem, I bring the bottom fabric, or C, to the top. On the pumpkin body, I'll take the A fabric, or the top one, and move it to the back. That helps us to keep our scrappy look. Next step will be to sew them together, 1 layer at a time. Next, we're going to sew it together. We're going to start, I have all my layers, A, B, and C, or the top, middle, bottom, all laid out like this. I start with the stem, pull the paper off. Don't worry about lining everything up perfect. You see, I'm not pinning anything.
It's okay.
Now for the pumpkin body, it is important to make sure the 4 ends up and all the numbers end up on the right side. I don't worry too much about getting it lined up perfectly because we cut it down to size. We have to iron our pieces. All right, now that we've pressed our pumpkin, I pressed to the dark side. Now both these are dark, so if you have a light fabric, press to the dark. The next step will be to trim. Now on my pumpkin, the top, or the part I'm going to attach my stem to, is the wider. You'll notice that here on the paper if you need to reorient yourself. So I'm going to trim just this top. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just want to get that little extra off.
And you're doing it so it's easier to sew the stem to
Yes, so I don't have that extra lip. Next I will sew it. Now I didn't pin, I didn't do anything, I just lined it up and ran it through the machine. pressed my pumpkin. I pressed the seam towards the pumpkin body to help reduce the bulk. Next, we have to trim our pumpkin down to 7.5. I don't have a 7.5-inch ruler, so I just used a Sharpie and marked my line. Now for the scrappy effect, you don't have to make it perfect. You just kind of put it on. You have a lot you can trim down, a lot to work with. I have a finished pumpkin. Now, you'll notice I use Sharpie on here. How to remove the Sharpie. Take an Expo marker, go over the line, and erase it. Teacher trick.
Awesome sauce. So this is a really great project. If you notice, every one of these pumpkins can be different based on how you trim it. If you want the stem longer on one, then we can trim one a little bit higher up on the stem, so that can be bigger. If you want it to be a little shorter pumpkin, you can trim that off as well. So there's a variety of ways that you can do it. Sounds like it was a really fun project.
It was super fun, easy, because you do 3 at a time.
Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed our video today on using the pumpkin quilt paper by Lori Holt and our autumn layer cake by Lori Holt. It was a great project. It's just a beautiful, different way to kind of be a scrappy pumpkin quilt. So here at Mtn Quilting, we believe in doing what makes our hearts happy. So long for now, and we'll see you later.
Bye.